Mayor, but thank you for your question. I want to ensure all Londoners and London's businesses can access the skills they need to succeed, and that Londoners of all ages can progress in learning and work to reach their full potential. So I'm pleased to have secured the offer of devolution of the adult education budget from Government to London from 2019 to 20. This budget covers learners aged 19 plus, but does not yet, unfortunately, despite the wording of your question, include funding for learners aged between 16 and 18. Devolution of the adult education budget is an important first step in enabling us to better address the skills needs of London's economy and to reduce unemployment. But we need to go further to take a truly strategic approach to post-16 skills. That's why I'll continue to make the case to government to also devolve skills funding for 16 to 18-year-olds. I'll also work to secure a coherent and integrated all ages carers information, advice and guidance offer for London, as well as strategic influence over 14 to 19 vocational capital investments, alongside London's existing FE capital responsibility. In the meantime, I'll be producing a London Skills strategy, overseen by my Skills for Londoners task force, which will set out London skills priorities based on the needs of Londoners and London's businesses. This will include details on plans for the adult education budget. Skills for Londoners will also work with skills training providers to ensure that all programmes and funding streams across the public, private and voluntary sectors work in concert to secure the best outcomes for all Londoners. Finally, as a member of the GED Education Panel, I'm sure you'll be scrutinising the delivery of my education and skills policies as we move forward, and I look forward to working with you on this vitally important issue for London.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Looking at how it's going to be implemented, I think it's from 2019, 2020, that financial year. It doesn't seem to be, at the moment, either on the government's website, too many details of which institutions it's going to affect, and actually even which budget is going to be transferred to you. I mean, some of the information I've seen still refers to the DBIS, which doesn't exist anymore. It's now the DBEIS. Is it the fact that it's the funding from the Skills Funding Agency which is going to be devolved to you? Is that the case?
No, you're right to ask your question. There is some vagueness because we're still to work out the details. As you'll be aware, there's currently a review taking place in relation to FE colleges in London. We're working closely with the Skills Funding Agency, with the DfE and with government departments to work out how devolution will work. That's one of the reasons why I've not been critical of the government going to 1920. It'll take us some time to work out the landscape. In the meantime, the good news is it gives us a chance to lobby for 16 to 18s as well.
Do you know which institutions are going to be affected by this? I mean, is it going to be sixth form colleges or further education colleges or just adult education colleges?
At the moment, it's just adult education, so post-19. At the moment, the government is not willing to give devolution of below 19. They've not closed the door completely. I think what they've said is, and this is me being generous, I hope, to both sides, persuade us. And there's a phrase that I think the government's used more and more about earned autonomy. And it may well be that we don't get 16 to 18 before we start 19 plus and 1920, and maybe we start 19 plus from 1920, and as we go forward, we earn the autonomy to do 16 to 18. That doesn't stop us being ambitious with Skills for Londoners. The funding we've got from the government in relation to the new LEAP will mean we're going to use that to get Skills for Londoners off the ground as soon as possible.
With that, if you don't get 16 to 18, you just get 19 plus, will that mean that some institutions are partly funded by you and partly funded by the DfE?
Yeah. There'll be lots of different pots of money that the adult education and 16 to 18 will be bidding for going forward. 16 to 18 at the moment, I've got no locus. We're trying to get locus in relation to that. From 1920 onwards, there'll be different pots of money, different government departments, different leaps that monies will be sought from in relation to fund adult education.
One of the things that concerns me that I've heard is that there will be more possibility of these colleges going bankrupt because there won't be the support for them. They'll be more financially accountable in a way, which means that if they mismanage their money, at the moment there's a safety net, but there's the possibility, a greater possibility, that some colleges, through some misappropriation of funds or whatever, bad financial management, might actually then be able to go bankrupt and go out of business. Is that something that concerns you? And do you have any kind of plan to stop that and to safeguard against that happening?
Well, I'm a very proud former governor of an FE college, South Thames, in Tooting in South London. And I know the challenges FE colleges are facing, and there is currently an area review recommendations which will determine the future of some of these FE colleges who are very worried. There have been mergers in the recent past. FE colleges are working incredibly hard to use economies of scale to try and make savings, but there are challenges. I don't want to sort of cast aspersions on FE colleges around bankruptcy or financial irregularity. What I do know is these are uncertain times for the FE sector. One of the things I hope we can give them is optimism with devolution to London from 1920 going onwards.
Yeah. One final question, which is about apprenticeships. Now, I've heard figures this week came out about the number of higher apprenticeships which have been taken up in London. It's about 2,700, which is only 6% of the total in the whole of the UK, whereas London has 14% of the UK's population. So really there's, as a proportion, we need far more people doing higher apprenticeships. And what I hear from businesses is that they're crying out for people who've got level 4 or 5 higher apprenticeships, which is a little bit higher than A-level, but not quite as high as a degree, with the technical skills, particularly in construction and engineering. So have you got any plan with this devolution of money to increase the number of higher apprenticeships that Londoners can do?
We have. One of the reasons why I was keen to set up a business advisory board was to hear from businesses what their needs are, and we're doing work around the Leap's doing work. Jules Pipe, the mayor, deputy mayor for skills, is doing work in relation to this. The criticism is legitimate. It can't be right that we've got Londoners whose potential is untapped and unfulfilled because of lack of opportunities, and we can provide the opportunities.